Good afternoon, fellow FINEX members and guests for this afternoon session, Zoom participants, Facebook and YouTube viewers, and our esteemed guest speakers. I am Maria Victoria, or Marivic Espano for short, your host for today's webinar. This webinar was presented to you by FINEX through its Women in Finance Committee, entitled Balancing Act, Family, Work, and Advocacy. Before we formally start, I would like to call on the Women in Finance Liaison Director, Stephanie Tiffy Zulueta, to lead us in the opening prayer, to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Mike. I ask everyone to join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here today. Bless our esteemed speakers. Open our hearts and minds that we be enlightened and inspired by their experiences and wisdom. Guide the Women in Finance Committee in their endeavors, that they continue to be a blessing to others. Thank you, Lord, for your mercy and grace in these trying times. We ask you to keep us always safe in your embrace. Lord, we give you all the glory and honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Tiffy. Good afternoon again to everybody. It is a fine Thursday afternoon, and I am pleased that you are all well and safe and can join us for this interesting conversation. I'd like to call on our Women in Finance Chairperson, Esther Terry Magleo, for her welcome remarks. Terry?
Thank you, Past President Marvic, for that introduction. My FINEX colleagues, junior leaders, junior FINEX leaders, guests, all participants, a blessed afternoon, everyone. Terry Magleo here, Chairperson of the Women in Finance Committee under FINEX. This body, proudly one of the more dynamic committees of FINEX, is composed of 60 strong-willed and driven Chief Executive Officers, Chief Financial Officers, and Senior Financial Executives from across the industries of fintech, banking, audit, education, tax and legal, manufacturing, consultancy services, and from the government too. The committee advocates career enhancement and devises means and ways to be able to reach out to the women in the marginalized sector. Just last December, Christmas, the committee has distributed 28 tricycles with sidecars to women entrepreneurs in Tondo, one of the poorest area in Manila. The project is called Women Business on Wheels, and the ladies are selling rice, fish, fruits, vegetables, chicken and meat to neighboring towns and cities. All the beneficiaries took financial literacy sessions last March 27 and April 10, as organized by the members of the Social Involvement Committee, whose members are also from Women in Finance Committee. This webinar, our second for the year, is very intense, timely, and very significant, balancing act of our women executives in times of pandemic. We just celebrated Mother's Day last May 9, and we all deem our mothers to be our real life superheroes. Before this COVID-19 pandemic, the executives who, just like most of us, regarded as wives and mothers, and at the same time occupied top senior positions, typically strategize forward-thinking goals and plans for their companies. But starting March last year, since the pandemic, most of us started to work from home. And what do you know? We all have startled that there are so many duties and responsibilities to attend to address, much to our surprise and astonishment. Suddenly, our children need our assistance in their online classes. Our kasambahays need to ask us what food to cook as we shift from one Zoom to another, and at the same time, join community pantries in the neighborhood. We women are known to be the heart and soul not only of our homes, but in every corporate setting. We are inherently caring and we clearly exude more empathy, virtues that we naturally manifest and share with our family and others. So, how do we balance our lives and maintain a sustainable home, a sustainable company, and still drive advocacies that will fulfill and nourish us? Work-life balance is a must in these unprecedented times. Today, we hope to get guidance from our power-packed resource lady speakers that are exceptionally good in the three areas. I'm a huge fan of Christine, as I get to watch her regularly in her wholesome Meals TV show of CNN. And how can she maintain a very svelte and very sexy figure when she gets to taste delicious foods daily? It's just so awe-inspiring. Not to mention, we all are very proud of her that because she is a world-class swimmer. Before the pandemic days, I used to go to Greenbelt or Rockwell, and I'm just so attracted to the bag creations of Amina for their uniqueness and intricacies. Amina, by the way, is a well-known socially oriented entrepreneur. March, on the other hand, is the new CEO of Gcash and Mint, and her focus is on income sustainability, and this is really remarkable. My friends, by the way, are raving about the ease and convenience of using Gcash. And do you know that she attends 11 Zoom meetings daily on, on average, and what a feat. So the opportunities and challenges that these resource speakers face and how they address them are very good reasons to inspire us as we listen to these three amazing ladies talk about their outstanding leadership and management prowess. For the fulfillment of this webinar, let me thank our President, Francis Lim, the organizers from the Women in Finance Committee, Daniel Del Rosario, TP Zulweta, Marivic Espano, Laurie Concepcion. Special mention goes to Daniel for inviting Amina, Larry for inviting Christine, and TG Limcauco for inviting Marks. And more importantly, to our Phoenix Secretariat, Mike, John, Lynn, Jeff, Rafi, Alex, we're so grateful for your all effort and hard work. Please be ready to be surprised, be ready to be inspired. Have an amazing afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much to the Women in Finance Committee under your leadership, and Larry and Tiffy as well for selecting a very interesting and timely topic. Based on the registration that we have, there are many members as well as guests who are interested to listen to our speakers and get some practical tips that they may be able to apply in their own lives. Earlier, before we started the program, Mike has mentioned that we have more than 200 registered participants for this webinar, and that's really a remarkable feat. And aside from the FINEX members, I'd like to acknowledge that we have several students, finance students coming from different schools who were invited through our JFINEX committee. So I hope that the students would equally learn and benefit from the discussions that we're going to have. Another trivia is that while this is a topic on women, we do have a good number of male members of FINEX and students who are joining us today. So clearly, there is something that we can learn from one another, whatever the gender may be. Now, let us then proceed to our main reason for being here. Each speaker today will have 20 minutes for their presentation or their messages, after which we shall have a moderated discussion by Danielle, which will include the Q&A portion. To our participants, unless you are part of the panel, you would notice that you are automatically muted. This was done by a secretariat to ensure that we can block off unnecessary noises and we will be able to hear our speakers well. For questions, we invite you to type them in the Q&A tab that you will find at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Our panel moderator, Danielle, will take care of reading them. Finally, I understand that some of you may be interested to get a certification for your attendance in this event. FINEX will be able to issue such certification, electronic or printed, depending on what you require, but this is only available upon request, and courier fees may apply if you want them to be sent, if you need the hard copy. To be able to get a certification of attendance, the participants should have logged in within 15 minutes from the start of the session, attended at least 75% of the session, and answered the feedback form at the end of the session. Due to these monitoring requirements mentioned, FINEX will not be able to issue certification for participants who are joining us through social media platforms such as Facebook and YouTube. Sorry, guys. Now, having finished mentioning all those house rules, I think we are ready. And I'd like to call on Ms. Ilaria Larry Concepcion to introduce our excellent panel of speakers. Larry, please. Larry, you are muted. Could you unmute yourself?
Sorry. Okay. Thank you, Past President Marivic. So to my colleagues in FINEX, to the guests, especially the members of the Junior FINEX, so those are the students. So those are the students from different universities and colleges. So to our friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Larry Concepcion, a very loyal member of the Women in Finance Committee since it was established about 4 years ago under the leadership of past President Attorney Benedicta Du Baladad. I am also a member a director of the current board of FINEX. Okay, so this afternoon, I'm honored and privileged to be tasked to introduce our guest speakers for this afternoon. So the strong and successful women in their respective rights, in their respective fields, who are unselfish enough to be able to accommodate us today to share their talent, their rich experiences despite their very busy schedules. So in the interest of time, I will be introducing them one after the other. Okay, so to begin, our first speaker to talk about motherhood and parenting duties. So that's my comadre. Obviously, trying to associate myself to her. Anyway, so that's Christine Jacob Sandejas, TV host, CNN Philippines. She's known professionally as Christine Jacob, a Filipina swimmer, actress, TV host, and newscaster. She was born in Manila, Philippines, to an American father, George Jacob, a former CEO of a multinational insurance company, and of course, my favorite boss, and to a former TV host, Rosemary Soto Jacob. Christine practically grew up in the United States of America and spent her elementary school days there. Her parents are the ones behind the swimming talent of Christine. I heard, of course, subject to Christine's validation later on, that when Christine was still a baby, she was practically thrown into the water by her father. So if this was true, then you now know the secret of having Olympian swimmers. So take it from Christine. Okay, so Christine and her family returned to the Philippines in the 1980s, and she joined Southeast Asian Games in Singapore in 1983, and then competed in the swimming event in the 1984 Summer Olympics. After joining athletics, she was requested by her aunt to co-host in Eat Bulaga in 1990, then airing on ABS-CBN. As her aunt knew that Christine's mother was also a TV host herself during her time, she became a newscaster for PTV while hosting Eat Bulaga. After her contract with APT Entertainment and Tape Inc., the producer of Eat Bulaga, expired, Christine hosted the rival Magandang Tanghali Bayan in ABS-CBN as Eat Bulaga then moved to GMA Network. She stopped hosting in showbiz in 2001 when she got pregnant with her first child with husband Francisco Paco Sandejas, an icon in the financial and investment field. After 4 years, GMA Network gave Christine her very own TV show entitled Mobile Cocina, as GMA knew that she came from a longest-running program, Eat Bulaga, which GMA co-produced at that time. This show ended in early 2007. I remember when Christine had her first movie, I think it was entitled Ang Kuya Kong Sida. Tama, Chris? So we practically marched to the movie house first day, first showing. So whilst we were enjoying the movie with a bag of popcorn during office hours, take note, during office hours, we were not actually feeling the guilt simply because George Jacob, the owner of the company, and our boss was with us. So hindi mo siguro alam yung Chris, no? Anyway, in 1991, these are the awards that Christine actually garnered. So in 1991, he won the PMPC Star Awards for television, Best New TV Personality under Eat Bulaga in Channel 2. In 2006, PMPC Star Awards for television, Best Educational Show Host, Mobile Cocina under GMA 7. Additional facts about Christine. So as we all know, she was raised in the United States. She won gold in the swimming event at the Southeast Asian Games in Singapore in 1983. Is an Olympian swimmer, represented the Philippines in the 1984 Olympics at Los Angeles. She hosted the popular afternoon show Eat Bulaga and then its rival show Magandang Tanghali Bayan. She is a mother of 5, is a strong advocate of breastfeeding, and has breastfed her 5 children. She is a keen marathoner and is credited with a time of 2 hours in a 26K event. Wow, 26K in 2 hours. It would probably take most of us a day to complete, if at all we complete it. And lastly, Christine is a graduate of international studies with a focus on China from Kenyon College in Ohio, USA. Okay, our next speaker to talk about passion and advocacy. So that's Amina Aranas Alunan, AAA. So true to form, Amina is the president and co-founder of Sofa Design Institute. She's also the owner of Aranas. She is an acclaimed bag designer, DIY champion. I suppose that means do it yourself or something. No? So she's the champion. And lifestyle personality. Amina Aranas Alunan is a perfect symbol of patriotism. With a master's in fashion accessories design, she directs Aranas, the Filipino lifestyle brand that has penetrated the international markets. She was inspired by her mother's business, and instead of putting another brand in the bags her mother's business created, she hungered to leave her own stamp. Thus, the mother-daughter trio, that's Becky, Amina, and Rosana Aranas started the label with a heart for Filipino craftsmanship in early 2000. The brand soon gained a reputation for being socially conscious due to her employment of women weavers and patronage of indigenous materials like coconut shells and weaved abaca. By perfecting a signature blend of polished and artisanal, they have been patronized by European royals, including the Queen of Belgium. Additionally, she co-founded the popular School of Fashion and the Arts, SOFA, Design Institute in 2007 as a platform to develop creatives and designers. She hopes to continue moving the nation's design and creative industries forward. Amina has a degree in Bachelor's of Arts Interdisciplinary Studies in 1998 to 2002 from the Ateneo de Manila University. She also earned her master's in Fashion Accessories Design in 2004 from Instituto Marangoni. When I first heard Amina Aranas Alunan as one of our guest speakers, the first person that came into my mind was the former secretary, the ILG secretary, Rafael Alunan III. So I did a little research and found that, Amina is the daughter-in-law of the good-looking former DILG secretary, Rafi Alunan III. Okay, so we're down to our third and final speaker, but definitely not the least, to talk about role at work and home challenges. So that's Martha Zazon, the president and CEO of Mint, which also operates, Junior FINEX and the techie members of the baby boomers. You're really very familiar with this. GCash. So who else doesn't know GCash? Okay, so previous to the role, Martha was a senior vice president at Globe as head of the broadband business with more than 20 years of experience, but you don't look like having a 20-year experience, Martha. You look very young. She handled various industries like food, over-the-counter drugs, personal care, and telco. She is highly experienced in transforming organizations and businesses. So very, very necessary during the pandemic now, during the lockdown. So in her 12 years in Globe, she had led various businesses such as postpaid, mobile, small and medium business, and broadband. She has pioneered and executed breakthroughs, all anchored on addressing important customer needs, such as customizable plans in postpaid, introducing tech solutions for SMEs, even creating a new industry category in prepaid via the highly successful Globe Home Prepaid Wi-Fi, while building agile and digital capabilities. Martha has attended and finished IMD and INSEAD executive programs and has a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration and Accounting, cum laude, from the University of the Philippines. Okay, friends, I'm sure you are all very excited to hearing from our accomplished and lovely women speakers. So far away, Christine.
All right. Hello, everybody. A pleasant afternoon. Hope you guys can see me well and your Zoom is working and everything. But thank you, Larry, for that lengthy, oh my gosh, much longer than necessary introduction there. But I know we do go way back. So, but anyway, through FINEX, this was long time coming prior to the pandemic. And, of course, we skipped a year and now we're here again. Same topic, however, approached differently. Okay, so with that, let me see. I will share my screen with everybody. Let me get that. Well, I hope all of you are doing well. All right. Now, this is where I'm at for all of you. Working your abs. I am sure you guys, are so familiar with your social media, with your feed, and this is all you see. People working out. So I ask all of you, do you want to work on your abs? Do you wish to and aspire to have six-pack abs? I mean, isn't that really, something in our bucket list? Different ways of getting fit, or different ways of eating right, whether it be the intermittent fasting or, the proper workouts or the HIIT workouts, anything to get us where we want to go. However, the abs that I will be talking about and sharing with you will be quite different. It will go far deeper into the physical six-pack abs, which we are so familiar with. The abs that will actually help us build and nurture very strong relationships, not only with ourselves, but of course with the people that we most care about. And that will be our family, our humans. I would like to introduce to you my tribe, my humans here. Different years. I don't know how many years ago my kids were asking me, Mama, when was this taken? I'll be saying, oh, I'm not sure. It's been a long time ago. And okay, so these are my tribes. Now, as you all know, being an athlete, that's all I can really remember. My childhood days was spent hours in the water. Olympic athlete in 1984 Olympics. I have definitely put in my 10,000 plus hours to get to where I want to be. Hours to achieve my dreams, my aspiration. Apparently, with those 10,000 hours, I was also actually working on something else that I was not aware of at that time, only to figure out now as a mom, as an adult, oh my gosh, I can't believe this was also a muscle that was, going overtime, over my 10,000 hours. I was working on my mind, my mental toughness, telling me to keep going and that I can do this and to not give up. Yes, discipline, sacrifice, focus, setting goals, you name it, I've done it, for a good number of my years. I started competing when I was only 5 years old and competed all through my college days. And even now, I guess you can say I still compete, as Larry mentioned, having done marathons and triathlons and whatnot. Even at home, I think we're still competing with each other. And I can talk a lot about these aspects that have made me what I am and have brought me to where I am today. But I only have 15 to 20 minutes to finish this. So I would like to focus only on one. And this is the tremendous power of the mind, which leads me to my A, my affirmation. This is what we call self-love, confidence. As you can see, I still don't have abs in that picture, okay? I'm still working on it. It will take years, but I am gonna start somewhere. Self-love, confidence. I would like to ask all you 200 participants right now, what do you actually tell yourself every day? I mean, how do you actually speak to yourself? I mean, without this, truly, you cannot move forward and achieve all that you want. We have a certain rule here at home, which is choose our words wisely. We try desperately, or not at all, to call each other names, to not say hurtful things to each other, and to not put each other down. I mean, that is our number one thing. Not saying things like, I'm sure you might have heard it before, like, ay nako, you're so stupid, or nako, nothing will amount to you, ang tamad-tamad mo. I mean, all of these, all of these negative things. And we try not to label anybody, because once it's in your head, I'm telling you, it is so difficult to remove. I mean, can you imagine if you do have a child and that's all they hear from you, their parent, would be, all of these negative things. You're so lazy, ano ba? I don't know what else that a child would hear, but I can tell you that that person will be wounded emotionally, growing up with no self-worth or confidence. The truth is, we've heard this, but unfortunately, the truth is, these are the things that we actually tell ourselves. There are people that actually tell themselves this, that they are worthless, that they're not good for anything, they'll never amount to anything. Hanggang dito na lang ako, ito lang talaga, may limit lang talaga tayo. We're not meant to compete internationally. I mean, we just saw Yuka Sasso, we just saw, in terms of sports, at least, I mean, we've seen Alex Ayala and all of these amazing athletes with the Olympics coming. We have broken barriers. We have Pacquiao. We have a lot of these people that have gone over and beyond because they have told themselves time and time again that they are worth it, that they are confident, and they can do anything. And we now, with social media, unfortunately, and with our kids exposed to it as well, we have developed a habit maybe of comparing ourselves to a lot of people. And when we see that, bakit sila ang ganda ng kanilang Zoom background? Or bakit sila ang ganda ng mga halaman nila? And all of these things. And we start, bakit sila yung mga anak nila? Nako, parang napaka well-behaved, and we start comparing and looking at ourselves as, oh my gosh, I can never live up to them or to that expectations. But I tell you, and I tell my children this, embrace the difference that you have. Expound on it, because that will be your strongest asset. When I entered Bulaga or like that, I couldn't speak Tagalog at all. But I used that as my advantage. I used the fact that I couldn't sing, and I used that as my advantage. I didn't, pretend that I was a fantastic anything, but I was just true to myself, and I just loved what I was doing. And which is, I guess, which showed. And when you're an athlete, and sorry, I mean, we are three amazing women here that will speak, and we come all from different avenues, different doors, right? There's not one door, one main door, but there's so many different doors, and we come from different backgrounds. As an athlete, I have learned to not focus so much on the negative or the failed attempts or the losses. I mean, I started out actually as last place and all of these things. I was never thought I'd be an Olympic athlete because I was never one of the best. But I strived and I never gave up. And that, I would say, would be my strongest selling point, is to train harder, to push, and to figure out how I can improve. Being confident in yourself and the things that you do truly affects the way you feel and how you interact with people. Now, if you don't love yourself, or if you continue to talk down to yourself, you won't feel good. I'm telling you, you won't have the confidence. You're going to be miserable. You're not going to be motivated to do anything else. And this will only hinder your relationship with the people that you work with the people you have at home. You won't be able to give love if you have no love, right? But if you feel good, I am telling you, you are going to be so motivated to go out, to try, to do so many different things. You're going to smile. You're going to find your energy. Maski pagod ka na. You're going to find that something, anything, because you know that you can do it. Which is why I bring you to find your passion. What is it that totally drives you? What is it that makes you happy? Whether it be work, whether, I hope it's work, because they say if you truly love what you do, it's like you'll never work a day in your life, right? I'm sure all of you executives have heard that. But it's loving what you do, finding a hobby, cooking, I don't know, anything that motivates you and keeps you looking forward, keeps you wanting to wake up. Whatever it is, find it. Find your passion. I have to wake up at 2:45 every single morning to get to work. And my husband is like, you are so crazy. I don't know why you do it. And I say, but I love it. I can't help myself. I truly look forward to waking up and going to work and smiling and being in front of people and listening to what we have to share and starting their day. That is what I truly, truly love to do. And during the pandemic, when it all happened, we were all caught off guard, and I had to stay home for a while and not really have to work. And I was like questioning, God, why am I working? I want to work and all of these things. And I said, teka muna, maybe I really need to stay home. And this is something that I need to do to focus on my family for those, few months that we really did not know what was going on. So that was my thing. And, one thing I don't know of the CEOs that are here, one of my really secret thing that has been, let's say I inherited from my father was to wake up early, to start your day really, really early. There's so many things that you can do. Not one day did I see my father in bed, past 6 a.m. I mean, he was always up early doing things early, trying to get a lot done. He was even in the office trying to be early before all of his employees. And that's something that I have learned and inherited. And to this day, I cannot stay in. I don't know. I have to wake up early and do as much as I can. And with that, the next one would be keep your mind and body active. People are saying, but I'm so tired. I don't have time to do anything. But I tell you, the energy level that you have just by doing something every single day, or maybe 3 times a week, mind you, it doesn't have to be an hour. I keep not an hour. You can just do even 10 minutes of a little physical exercise, 10 minutes to get your body going, to get your endorphins going, to get your happy hormones going. And it's going to make a world of difference. Your body's going to feel so much better. You're going to be happier, and you're going to find that you actually have so much more energy to share, not only, with your family, with your kids. If you have to be running around, this is something that you can pass on. This is something that you can do together. And it's really, really good for body. I mean, I can imagine, there are times when you don't do anything, right? And you might even end up feeling lazy and sluggish and not really feeling good. But studies have shown that if you are physically active, you are probably more productive as well. Before I let this slide go, just a little bit of information as to why I decided to run a marathon. Oprah ran a marathon. Can you believe Oprah ran a marathon? I said, oh, if Oprah can run a marathon, I think I can do that. I don't even know if she has any athletic background. She didn't have any athletic background, but I know for a fact that there was a study done. And this company decided to encourage their employees to sign up and run a marathon. Their productivity went up immensely because all of a sudden their employees were more confident, knowing that they could do these things that they never thought possible. So it's just trying to get out of the box and doing these things, exploring, being confident. That will help you be more motivated to, improve on yourself and be more motivated to help others, which goes on to my B. And this says go be a better mother, be a better person, be a better wife, and of course, be a boss. And that is me. I am the boss. No. I like to tease my husband about that yes, I am the boss of the house. I mean, can you imagine? Let's talk pandemic here. When it hit us, we had no idea what was going on. We were caught, let's say maybe off guard. Everybody was rushing to the grocery. If you even remember those days, we've been together, in this house, my family, for 24 hours, maybe 365 days plus, because we've already been over a year in this quarantine and lockdown, and it is truly no joke. I still have, 12-year-old son that can't go out or go to the malls or can't, and he's been dying because, Mama, I want to go. I said, no, you can't go to the mall. So these were issues that we had to deal with, and it was truly no joke. I'm not going to say it was a walk in the park. I'm not going to say we never got on each other's nerves, because we did. We truly did. And, there was no meetings to escape to. There were no lunches. We had to be with each other, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No doubt. Okay. So, of course, we were butting heads a little bit until we discovered schedule. This is my husband's also biggest pet peeve, is schedule. We need to set a schedule, and it worked out better. This is how we did it, at least in my household, that we had to wake up every day early. No one was allowed to sleep in maybe till 12 noon or till 11 or 10. We all woke up, we all had breakfast together, which was at 8 a.m. And this was still at the summer last year, and now it's summer. So it's still the same. Our meals are sacred. We do not skip meals. We have it together with no gadgets, with no cell phones. Our meals are together, and we know this so well. It is 8 a.m., 12 noon, and 6:30. That is our non-negotiable. Even I only have one Yaya. She's my all-around. She's part of our bubble. She's part of our family. So that is our schedule. We schedule that in our household, just so to share with you what we do is that we like to do everything in the morning. We like to do our workouts in the morning. I encourage my kids to go get some sun, some vitamin D, and that all happens in the morning. And then they're free to do whatever they want until, we have to come and have lunch together and then do meetings or whatever. And then it just goes on and on. So that is one of the important things. Meal times for me as a mom, I never had to plan and be creative when it came to my meals. Maybe the kids were in school all the time, so I didn't really have to worry so much about that. Maybe dinner was the main meal that I needed to worry about because I like to plan my meals. I like to know what I'm going to eat ahead of time. And so I had to plan breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that was every single day na hindi magsasawa ang aking pamilya. So I had to make sure and be creative. And I guess it became, such a wonderful thing for me. And I know that they also look forward to our meals as they famously, Mama, what are we having today? So I always try to make it exciting. And another thing that I would like to also share with all of you is maybe plan your weekends. Make sure your weekends are different, okay? Only because it just gives your kids something to look forward to, something to be excited about. So planning on weekends, we can't really go out and do a lot of things. The simplest things, we have actually found the simplest joys during the pandemic. We just go, maybe we'll drive to Makati, if ever, and we'll just, order, but we'll eat it in the car. But for us, that was already so exciting, and we look forward to doing those things. And which restaurant are we going to try now and order food and just eat it in the car? Or maybe we'll decide, if we can, to go out of town, maybe spend the weekend. But as much as possible, I try to encourage them to be outdoors. So plan, be creative. It doesn't, have to be something so so difficult or so complicated. It really is. And of course, quality time. I was going to touch on this later, but I'm going to dabble on it a little bit now. Prior to pandemic, it was always, I have 5 kids. So with the 5 kids, it's always quite different. I have a college child who's a 3rd-year college student. He also sings. He does so many different things. And I have a daughter, 1st year in Ateneo. I have a girl that's entering her senior year in high school, grade 10 in Southridge, another boy, and a grade 7. And they're all different. I'm telling you, I wish there was a one-size-fits-all for everybody, but no, they're all different. Prior to the pandemic, I would spend quality time with each of them. They all had their different needs. They like doing different things. I could go out and do all of those things. But now with the pandemic, it's different. I see them 24 hours, and sometimes we forget that they still are different, and they still have different needs, and they still need you on a one-on-one basis. So this is where the S comes in, and this is the support. This is what we need to do with each other. There are kids that during the pandemic, yes, it's so easy. And like my daughter in Ateneo, she is just, I don't know what she's done. She's eaten the pandemic, and she's thriving, and she's loving it. And my other children, maybe they're having a harder time, and they need more of me and more of my encouragement to help them get through this. So my S for my abs would always be support. We as parents are there to support each other. We are there to allow a safe environment for them to actually speak up. We are here to actually spoil each other with love and encouragement, like affirmation. This is what I learned, and this is what I want to pass on to them. Never, ever, when things get hard, I will, also try to leave you with this, is that the spiritual side, let us not forget the spiritual side, knowing that there is a higher power, a higher being that is always there to comfort us. And, I know I need help, but no one here is perfect. And when things get tough, that is where we draw our strength from. And these are the habits that we need to, to form. Because at the end of the day, you don't get your abs right away. I wish we did. but it's not something that you just wake up and a week later you have the best six-pack ab. These are my six-pack with my yaya. So these are my abs. Each one of them is a muscle that I have to work on individually, consistently, love differently, because they all have different needs from me. And my husband, his greatest need, and this is something that we did share when we got married, was our sacrifice. And we always, promised each other that if ever we had to sacrifice, we would do it joyfully. We would do it happily. We'd never do it grudgingly, no matter how difficult it may be. We'd always know that we would do it for each other. So whenever you have to do something that may be so difficult for you or for your family, just say, okay, ito yung mga angels ko. I will do it joyfully and happily. And with all the happiness, I would like to share this with all of you. I'm lost in the Okay, so there you go. So this is my life. And let me go back to you guys. There you go. I hope, I don't know if you guys got to see all of that, but I hope that you enjoyed that little presentation of my family. And, as I said, we all come from different doors, the women that you have gathered here today. But at the end of the day, we're still all moms. And that is the most important thing. Is we all have our own passions. We all have our own advocacy. And with that, I'd like to turn you over to Amina Aranas Alunan for talk more about her passion and advocacy. Amina.
Thanks so much, Christine, and good afternoon to everybody. Let me just start sharing my screen. Okay, oops, okay. Let's see. Okay, so I hope you guys all see it well. Okay, so basically, yeah, I was asked to speak about passion and advocacy, and I decided to start with this picture because I think it sort of encapsulates, the beginning of where what sparked my passion. So obviously, based on what I'm wearing, this was in the 1980s, and basically all the accessories I'm wearing was my mom's, and that particular cabinet that I'm showcasing in front with the trampoline in front was actually my mom's accessories cabinet. So that entire from floor to to the top, that was all filled with fashion accessories. It was filled with costume jewelry, with belts, and it was my toy chest growing up. I really enjoyed opening it and looking at everything my mom had and trying it on. And of course, at times my mom would come in, and just like any doting mother, will ask me to pose and take pictures. So that is really, I would say, my exposure to fashion and to where I am, the world that I belong in today. And these three images, I would say, symbolize or tell the story of where my passions lie. So of course, the one at the bottom is the world of fashion, and I have my mom to thank for that. So apart from having that toy chest of fashion accessories, she also was already a manufacturer and exporter of Philippine bags. And so that really early on, my exposure to fashion was already there. And it's something that I have really taken from a very young age. I knew already what I was interested in. And I really feel quite lucky that somehow I never really felt lost. I knew exactly where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do with my life. Then the photo on top of that is about creativity. And so also early on, I knew that I was a creative person. I knew that my comfort zone was in creativity. Even back in school, in grade school, in high school, my strengths were always in the creative subjects. And I know I'm talking to finance people here, and that is not my strength. Math was not my strength. And I always enjoyed, a story that I always share with a lot of people, especially young kids when I'm asked to speak to them, is that I really, without knowing it, and when I look back, I knew that my strength was really in the arts and creativity. Because one concrete example I can think of was when I was in grade 6. I remember we had to do a math. It was a math project, and the project was about creating a math. They call this a game, like a board game. And when I created the board game, I don't even know what the math concepts were about. But what so excited me was the idea that I had to create a board game from scratch. And so that's what I did. In fact, after creating one board game, I finished it early before deadline. I decided to create an actual game, and it was a fruit stand that I used a balikbayan box, and I made clay fruits. But I don't remember the math concepts, but I just really enjoyed working with my hands and creating. Then the third, which is made in the Philippines, is I always felt that I wanted to put the Philippines or the Filipino creative in the global light. I wanted I wanted Filipino creatives to have a fighting chance. And I always felt, even at that young age, even if I had no basis, I always felt that Filipinos can do that too, or the Filipino designer can do that too. So basically, these three concepts are where my passions lie. And where did it take me, these passions? It took me to my two babies. Not of course, in the literal sense, but these two brands, Aranas and Sofa Design Institute. So Aranas is a family handmade bag brand, and Sofa Design Institute is a creative and design school. So let me start and share with you more about what Aranas is all about. Aranas started in 1980, and it was founded by my mom, Becky Aranas, she started not as Aranas, the brand, but as a manufacturer and exporter for international brands. So basically, she was a supplier, and the bags she made carried an American brand, a European label, or a Japanese label. And early on, I always already felt that one day I wanted to create my own label, or I wanted us to create a family brand, and I wanted it to be a Filipino brand that we could share with the world. So in 1999, we joined our first bazaar, and that was the start of Aranas. That's when Aranas was born, but it was all bazaar-based. But like I said, even back then, the dream was to create a globally competitive Filipino fashion brand. From the very start, 1999, we knew that's what we wanted to do. And here I'm sharing a spread from Philippine Tabler of 2019, where they featured us, the brand, and it says that for the family behind the brand, everything they have done so far has been instrumental in making the world more aware of the excellence of Philippine-made products. And I will now share a video. I may have to stop it midway in case I might lose some time. Oops, sorry. Oh, sorry, hold on. Oops, what happened? Okay. So that is what we do at Aranas. It really is to share with the world what Filipinos can do. That has been our goal. And here I'm also sharing with you the where we've gone, you know, where it has brought us the past decade. Just some snippets of us in London, in Vogue. And in 2019, we are really happy that we are sold in almost 200 stores. And of course, although here are some of the stores that we've been sold at. I will just sharing with you our album of photos and different Aranas girls around the world. And now 2020. So what happened? Obviously, no one was spared from the pandemic. Fashion really is one of the hardly hit industries. With the last industry data I got for the Philippine market is that there was a decline of 70%, 70 to 90% in revenue. It was all about order cancellations, overstock inventory, overstock raw materials. So the pandemic and fashion, some questions were shared with me earlier, and it was how did the pandemic affect our communities? How do we see it moving forward? Well, with us, it really was, we were all at a loss. We didn't know what to do, just like everyone, I guess. But of course, stores were closed, no one was going out, so nobody really needed fashion. So what I did, especially when we were all in lockdown. Everyone was trying to look for answers. And I'm sure all of you also know and experience that all of these webinars started taking place around April, May last year. So that's what we did as well. I'm the president, the recent president of the Fashion Design Council of the Philippines. So we put together this webinar called the Fashion Forward Dialogues. It was really just a way for everyone to get together and try to understand what's happening, try to predict how we can all move forward together. And then, so that was 2020. However, the upside is that in spite of the pandemic, we landed our biggest US stockist for our spring-summer SS21, spring-summer 2021 collection. So when we started moving to MECQ, we really said, we needed to create again. We needed to figure out what to do with these raw materials that we have. What can we do with all the extra bodies, with the canceled orders? And basically, we created our next collection, which was for the Spring-Summer 2021 collection. And it really served as a way for us to move forward, as a way for us to try to heal from this. And we presented the collection through our US agent, and Neiman Marcus bought pieces from the collection. So here are some of the pieces they bought. This is called our Raw Start collection, which we actually still have in stores now. It's also still at Neiman Marcus, also at Bergdorf Goodman. And so there. So I know I only have a few minutes left, but now I will move on to my next baby, which is SOFA Design Institute. So with SOFA, I was, when I studied in Italy, I went to a fashion school in Milan. And being there, I really saw firsthand how the global fashion industry worked and how different and really how way behind we are here in the Philippines. So I came back with a lofty dream that one day Manila would be one of the fashion capitals of the world. And I still have that dream today. Of course, it's really quite a far way to go for us. But to make that happen, my hope was through SOFA, we would legitimize and professionalize the Filipino fashion practitioner. And secondly, that we could make the Filipino creative globally competitive. So this is what we do in SOFA. So in fact, beyond fashion, we were able to move. SOFA is open in 2007, so we're close to 15 years. And we've managed to move beyond fashion. We are a college with interior design, of course, fashion, an array of continuing education programs. We have a senior high school as well, and of course, art programs. I will skip this video because of the time constraint. But
I create things with stories and meaning.
Talk a lot about
I
people
pour
of
my
passion.
heart, soul, and mind into them. I travel to different
I will
corners of the
skip
world
this
to
first.
bring beauty.
So what happened to the pandemic and education? I'm sure all of you are parents, and you experienced your children transitioning from their schools just closing down abruptly and figuring out how to go online when we had to go when we had to start the new semester. I mean, there was so many emotions. People were angry and confused. And so the same was for us. And of course, being a school owner, we also were, of course, being a parent in other schools, I could hear complaints of parents and students. But being a school owner, I also saw it from the perspective of a school, of managing the teachers, the staff, the campus. And what we did very quickly, actually, as once we sort of really tried to just get over the initial shock of the pandemic, in June 2020, we quickly launched the SOFA Digital Campus. We said, we just have, I think all of us has really have had no choice but to really embrace the digital world. And that's what we did. We created the digital campus, which housed our a whole array of, it started as summer workshops because this was June 2020, so it was summer. And then of course, after that, we had to prepare for our main programs, for the college programs and our senior high school. So we also created our own, I would say, program of our framework for remote learning called SOFA Create. And so how did we deal with the pandemic? There was no other way but to just fully embrace digital, to really think of ways to be more creative, to communicate through digital means, to support our faculty, support our students. And one of the good things also that came out of all this, which I'm sure you will all agree, is that we can now work from anywhere, we can study from anywhere. And so what we also did just this morning before coming here this afternoon, we launched our SOFA Mindanao admissions office. And because remote learning has really also widened the opportunities, so we now have a partner in Mindanao to also help the Mindanaoans, to give them access to creative education. And so what are my key lessons about passion and advocacy? My key lessons is that number first, following my passion has always worked for me. I know so many people, I read all these articles about, it comes out on my Facebook feed that there are people saying, don't follow your passion. Like now it's been about that, about not following passion. But in my personal experience, following my passion is really sort of what spelled my life. It has allowed me to evolve, mature, and develop other passions. And I cannot imagine any other way. I always say I really am someone that follows my heart. And it has always worked for me in all aspects, in work, in life, in love, in family. Next, passion is not enough. So of course, we can be all heart, but it must always be coupled with sensibility, logic, and hard work. And I think it was that passion, for example, it was that passion to make the Aranas a global brand that made me persist. It was not easy. We launched the brand in 1999, and we only really successfully got to penetrate the international market in 2016. So it took that long. And I think without passion, without the drive, we could not have gotten there. The third is keep dreaming in order to keep evolving. I always would define myself as an endless dreamer. I love to imagine new ideas. I love to think of new ways or greater ways to live. Maybe the designer in me is always trying to redefine something and do something that has never been done. Well, in my view, has never been done. So I always believe that nothing is ever finished. There will always be more to do. So stay excited and wide-eyed. I think I'm very lucky also that I have managed to always keep that excitement in anything I do. And lastly, passion is infectious. So you have to build your team, build your tribe, your community of fellow passionistas. And speaking of fellow passionistas, another new advocacy or a new passion project that came up, especially in the pandemic, going back to pandemic and fashion, is the Philippine Fashion Coalition. So early on, I showed a slide that I organized the Fashion Forward Dialogues, but that also evolved to gathering all fashion practitioners. So in June 2020, we formed the Philippine Fashion Coalition, which is the country's first unifying organization for the Philippine fashion industry. And we are the first non-stock, non-profit, national business support organization that will represent all sectors of the fashion industry. So this is not just designers. We represent the creatives, the photographers, stylists, makeup artists. We represent the textile makers, the retailers, the education sector. And so all of this, we are 15 founding board members. And in fact, what's really groundbreaking is right now, as I speak, we actually have our first Congress inquiry happening about on the fashion industry. Of course, I'm unable to attend because I am with you guys today, but the rest of the board is there. And so that is something, and we really, and hopefully with this, my hope, my lofty dream to put Manila in the fashion, and make it one of the fashion capitals of the world will happen. So of course, all of this is also would not be possible without the support of my family. Well, my husband over there, he has really supported me all along. He supported me from the very start, since I was in college, and he knew that fashion was my world. He was always there supporting me, even when I was pregnant and I just gave birth, and I was, I really wanted to go back to work. I had to go back to work. He never stopped me. He really has always been an enabler. He's never stopped me from pursuing anything that my heart wanted to do. And of course, my 3 children, who also are my biggest fans. And I too am one of their biggest fans. So thank you very much. And that's it for this afternoon, and I'll see you guys again later.
Thanks for that talk, Amina. Wow, such an honor to be speaking here alongside 2 very accomplished women, both who have experienced success globally. I loved listening to Christine's and Amina's talk. Christine on motherhood and parenting. I super agree with Christine's ABS principle that I found myself nodding a lot of times as she spoke about it. And Amina's pursuit of her passion is really so admirable that it allowed her to create world-class products and companies and allowed her to help people and industries. So here I am naman to talk about the work that I do and a bit about my family. I hope I am able to impart to you some lessons learned and it inspires you to pursue your own dreams. I am Martha Zazon and this is our story in GCash. So the past 2 years have been full of unprecedented challenges for our country. So my presentation will be showing you how GCash has been one with the nation in all of this and how we have contributed to the solution. I'll also be talking about how we overcame our own challenges as a team, and I will share my own thoughts on maintaining work-life balance. So the pandemic has affected all of us, definitely all of us. It has made an impact in Filipino livelihood and the economy. The 9.5% GDP decline in 2020 is the worst fall rate since World War II. So that's such a long time ago since we've declined that much. Unemployment rate is at 10%. That's equivalent to like 5 million Filipinos being jobless. 26% of MSMEs have fully closed, which means that 78% of businesses are now fully or partially closed. That is 4.5 million businesses that we are speaking of. Remember what Amina said earlier about her own industry also being affected. So a lot of industries have been affected by the pandemic. And due to the quarantine restrictions, we have seen a shift to online behavior in almost all aspects of our daily lives. We noticed some key trends brought about by the quarantine, and Google shares the same insights as well. First is the non-contact revolution. People have gone to social media, to communities, and have gone to e-commerce for their essentials. So as the quarantine progressed, people needed a contactless way to pay for their essentials such as groceries and utilities. Good thing GCash provided a safe as well as easy and secure mode of payment for that. Second observation that we've had was there emerged virtual communities, which brought about the rise of online selling communities. As the quarantine resulted in massive unemployment, Filipinos turned to online. That's Viber, Facebook, and Instagram selling groups to find a way to make a living. GCash provided these new businesses with a safe, contactless way to accept payments for their goods. And we're happy to see that we have empowered over 2.2 million merchants and social sellers on a QR and P2P platform, or peer-to-peer platform. The third observation that we had is about the young. And we've seen how they've been navigating through the financial volatility. And studies show that it's the young people who are very concerned about the pandemic's impact on their financial security, specifically how they can preserve and even grow their hard-earned money. It's impressive because as young as like 20 years old, 25 years old, they're now trying to be savvy about managing their own finances. When I was that age, I wasn't as concerned probably. And GCash is at the forefront of providing relevant and accessible financial services to these people, like savings, credit, investment, and insurance. Not only are we providing the best value in the market, but we ensure that the registration process or the experience is seamless, especially for users who have never used these products before. So we find ourselves catering not just to the young, but even the old. Even the lolos and the lolas are using GCash, which surprises us also. But it's also a testament of how easy and simple the experience of using GCash is. And we help keep the economy moving through these relevant products that complement each key trend that we mentioned. And GCash remained relevant through various phases of the year that passed. It's evident in these 4 waves of virality that I'll be showing you, which we experienced in 2020. The first wave was when we became part of essentials during lockdown. We cemented ourselves as the #1 finance app in the country as we gained virality through memes like people having more GCash receipts in their phone galleries rather than vacation pictures. I'm sure some of you may have experienced that as well. The second wave was when we became the government's financial aid tool. We were awarded with the most funds for financial and relief aid, where we disbursed over 16 billion pesos to 2 million Filipinos. And what would have taken the government 952 days to distribute funds to the people, with our platform, we did it only in a few days. So that's saving the government almost 3 years, right, in sending monies to the people in need. The third wave was when we enabled digital bayanihan. Remember when there was a typhoon in Cagayan and people needed help? We've been hailed as the easiest way to donate during the pandemic because when people couldn't go out to buy flashlights, to buy goods, to donate, we were used by many NGOs and even popular celebrities and even politicians, so that people could donate easily, because people who had like money to spare could easily just send money or scan the QR code of their NGO of choice to help the victims in Cagayan. And GCash was able to collect over 40 million of cash aid to help all those affected by the pandemic and super typhoons like Ulysses. The fourth wave, so the first 3 waves were really like major stuff. But what we also found heartwarming is that GCash has been part also of even the micro moments, what we call the micro moments or the everyday moments. We helped keep the joy of Christmas celebration through Merry GCash, where we trended again last Christmas as many used GCash to ask for pamasko or aguinaldo from their relatives. We were able to record our highest single day login at 7.7 million plus logins just last December 12. And people were sending money with a clip, or even just sending 1 peso just to send good messages and well wishes to their loved ones. Some even used our own profile design in Facebook, and then they posted their own, and then they posted even their GCash numbers, and they say namamas ko po. So those things helped us trend well in social media. And we have since surpassed this by hitting more than 13 million single day logins last May 2021. With our continued growth, there are more than 40 million Filipinos now registered to GCash, which is double our January 2020 count. We continue to change the game for every Filipino in 2021, being with them, whatever life stage they are in. And I mentioned micro moments earlier. At a time when we are all still socially distanced, GCash helps our users to reach out to loved ones through our Send with a Clip product. GCash again became viral when users sent money to each other with cute themes based on the holidays. So example, last Valentine's Day, some people sent their loved ones 1 peso and 43 cents just to say I love you to their loved ones. So those who had more money sent 14.30 or 143 pesos. So that's their way of saying I love you through GCash. And they attached some cute clips with it. More than holidays, GCash has even been used to send assistance to their friends or family who needed the extra help during this pandemic. So we noticed they sent like words of comfort to people who needed financial assistance for their relatives who were hit by COVID, or some who lost some loved ones. We noticed that Send Money with a Clip was used quite extensively for that. Second is GCash providing peace of mind via insurance. So for our users who remain cautious during the pandemic, we launched an affordable COVID-19 health insurance where you pay as low as 39 pesos a month. Well, I'm sure a lot of you haven't heard about a very cheap insurance at that. For less than $1, you get 140,000 peso coverage if you get hit by COVID and you get hospitalized by it. And it's not just COVID, it's also dengue. We even partnered with Globe to provide 3 months free coverage when they purchase some Globe SKUs. Another product that went viral is our G-Invest product, especially when we launched 4 new funds that allow users to participate in the growth of the famous global and local companies such as Apple, Amazon, Google, Ayala, and Globe. We also partnered with expert fund managers to create educational videos for beginners in investment. So imagine, whereas before you needed a private banking account, millions of pesos, and even a relationship manager just to invest in global funds or in BlackRock, like that. Now, for as low as 1,000 pesos, you can invest in a global fund that's managed through Atram. And as low as 50 pesos if you want to invest in a local funds. With the livelihood of many Filipinos affected by the pandemic, GCash provided digital services that helped them thrive. And as of the moment, we already have more than 2 million social sellers and merchants on GCash. We gave them an easy way to accept payments via QR or send and receive money. For some users, they became the cash in and cash out outlets in their community. What we mean by cash in and cash out is it's like loading your wallet. So these outlets became the loading wallet for GCash, and some even like disbursed cash when some people needed to cash out from their GCash. Others became the informal remittance centers also for their neighbors. GCash allowed them to send money to other GCash accounts and even banks, and they just put some profit into it and then allowed easy transfer of monies. And lastly, some of our users became bayad centers, paying bills and selling load for their neighbors who don't want to travel too far. Of course, we won't stop there. We envision and work towards a future of financial inclusion or finance for all. And we will continue to innovate so we can make Filipinos' everyday lives better. I've already mentioned some of these products in previous slides, but here are focus areas for 2021. First is GSave. So with GSave, our users enjoy the best savings interest rate in the country with up to 4% per annum. I don't think you can even get that with a time deposit, right? But here, there's no minimum deposit, or I think 50 pesos only, and you get to enjoy that. How about, and that's a perfect example of democratizing financial services, right? We also introduced new funds through G Invest that make investments more affordable. Not only we did it by making things more accessible, so you don't need to submit documents just to enroll in an invest account. You don't need to go to a branch just for that. Everything is just a tap away. Not to mention the fact that we made it so affordable. So 50 pesos or 1,000 pesos for global funds, you can start investing your money. For G Insure, we offer sachet style payments. So we are like a sachet economy. So we're adapting that for financial services as well. So for as low as 39 pesos, you get like health insurance, and you can even have life insurance as well. And the fourth is G Credit. We're able to power this through our in-house credit scoring system, which we call G-Score. So a lot of people are asking about what G-Score is. They think it's like a rewards or points thing. Our rewards is the G-Forest. G-Score is about your credit score. So we provide eligible users with access to a credit line to pay for their QR transactions or their bills. So as you use GCash, your G-score also builds up. So you don't need any more income statement or a pay slip just to build a credit line or a good credit scoring with GCash. Because of the transactions that you make, we're able to use big data and analyze your transactions which gives us an indication whether you're a good payer or not. We've also rolled this out as an additional payment option in online stores such as Shopee, so people can enjoy G Credit already. For digital lifestyle, we have G Life. I'm sure a lot of you have learned or heard about G Life. We've had some milestone promos here, like the KFC 50% off, and most recently the McDonald's 50% off. This is our app-in-app platform that allows our users to interact with multiple brands without needing to download each app. Mind you, this is a very important service. Because a lot of Filipinos, while smartphone penetration is very high in the Philippines, the main problem really is the memory in their phones. So a lot of Filipinos are forced to prioritize the apps that they download because they can't download everything that they want because they have to manage the memory in their phones. But with G Life, you don't have to download each and every app anymore. And we're not just limited to food. We can do shopping, play, gaming, anything that needs an app. We are there to help the B2B or the businesses to provide a storefront, digital storefront. At the same time, people don't have to download separately the apps anymore because they just access it through G Life. As I said earlier, it provides businesses with a digital footprint and an instant access to our 40 million users. We already have over 50 partners in G Life from various industries like food, e-commerce, telco, and we plan to bring in more big name partners in the near future. Next also is GCash International. With almost 10% of the Philippine economy coming from the OFWs, remittances, and over 10 million Filipinos living and working abroad, we want to make their remittances as easy and inexpensive as possible. Through GCash, they can send money to their families and pay their bills and even save or invest what's left, all in a single platform. But beyond our exciting products, I want to share with you how GCash has become a vital part of the Filipino community. A story that went viral early this year on how a fisherman went to a resort to sell seafood. Unfortunately, the buyers did not have cash with them at the beach. However, the fisherman asked if they had GCash, and they did. So the fisherman was able to complete his sale with a little help from GCash. And to tell you honestly, I myself experienced it just 2 weeks ago. So I went out of town, went to a nearby resort, and I was on the beach in the morning with my husband, and I saw a bangka, and it was waving at me, and I said, okay, parang nagbibenta to. I mean, they're trying to sell their day's catch, I guess. So true enough, they went to me, and I wanted to buy. So they were selling lobsters, salmon, squid. And I said, but I don't have cash. I didn't introduce myself. I just said, I don't have cash. And then they said, they accept GCash. So pinakyaw ko na lang yung benta nila, and they were so happy with it. And they even told me, you know, ma'am, even up to the other resorts there, or the other part of that province, they are actually all the fishermen are all using GCash. So that's so heartwarming to know, diba, na hindi lang pang city pero pang dalampasigan na rin ang paggamit ng GCash. Just imagine the possibilities if every Filipino had GCash. So we want to continue to empower our enterprising Pinoys, because this is really our version of entrepreneurs. It's not just the fat tail or the long tail ones, the usual merchants that are present in other countries, but the uniquely Pinoy entrepreneurs are the fisher folks, the sari-sari store owners, the tricycle drivers, todas, and even the wet market vendors or the palengke vendors, diba? And all this, we're seeing signs of people using GCash. I think in farmers market or in some Cavite market, they're also using, yung mga palengke vendors doon are already using GCash. The tricycle drivers also of, I think at Tipolo and even in Mindanao, they're using GCash already. So at GCash, we're changing the mindset that financial services are only for the wealthy by making our digital products more accessible, affordable, and easy to understand. So we invest a lot in educating them. With our growth, GCash was put in the spotlight. So now I transitioned, because this did not come without a new set of challenges naman. Unlike a lot of other companies who had to downsize their workforce, we were very fortunate to experience growth beyond growth really that's unimaginable because of the relevance of our products. The pandemic put GCash in the spotlight, and with that came some added responsibilities. It required us to be more nimble and treat each service with urgency. It also pushed us to launch more relevant services that can help our users. We also put much effort into the safety and security of our platform. Sabi nga ng ibang customers, parang si GCash buhay na buhay this pandemic. But to tell you the truth, the added pressure did bring extra challenges and really tested our resilience as an organization whose purpose is to help more Filipinos. Our rapid growth resulted in overstretched roles. We also observed that a lack of social energy due to work from home setup. So at a time when everything seems uncertain, you feel alone. One of the most important things is to feel that you're not alone in this, diba? We also had difficulty in strengthening purpose and culture from home kasi everything's virtual. It's hard to assimilate the culture and values, especially with the new hires like me back then, when you don't work around each other. Parang nawala yung non-verbal, diba? Well, to help address these challenges, we made sure to launch inclusive programs to bring everyone together, because we can only overcome this together. So we launched Alagang GCash programs for our employees that make sure that they are in the best position to perform, grow, and excel. We transitioned to agile org and agile ways of working, which is cross-functional in nature and very flexible. We addressed quickly headcount, and we did benefits review of our employees, and then provided work from home tools. We even employed doctors and their mental wellness programs that we did. What helped a lot also is the regular check-in of the leaders. Actually, a lot of the work was also with the leaders. We had to do skip levels, and we had to make our handling more personalized with employees. So we also did reorg for more efficient collaboration. To continue to engage and connect, we did as I said, like the leader talks and town halls. I introduced what we call good news town halls, which is just all about good news, just highlighting each and every good news and milestones that the employees have done, and recognizing each and every part of the organization. So they all see that it's not just the frontliners that are responsible for the results of GCash, but every person in the organization really matters. Each leadership team had what we call TikToks or monthly group talks for temperature checks. Personally, I've had more than 20 coffee talks and 7 town halls since joining Mint. We also introduced fun org-wide engagement activities and built mini interest groups as well. To also help strengthen a purpose-driven culture, well, I'm a believer that having a strong and defined purpose that is properly communicated across the org, that to contribute in our success. So we launched Purpose at GCash to make sure our purpose, vision, mission, and values are aligned with our priorities and fit the times we are in. So what have I learned? If I were to leave you with some final words on what I learned throughout this whole experience, it would be this. A strong sense of purpose helps guide me in balancing work and life. My personal purpose is to unlock the potential of people that matter to me. And that is, I think, aligned and consistent with GCash's purpose, which is to make Filipinos' everyday lives better. This whole experience with GCash has been crazy and exciting experience for me that it's easy to forget I've only been here a little more than a year. Actually, I celebrated my first year anniversary in June 1. So through the challenges, my purpose is what keeps me going every day. Because really the roadblocks, the challenges are so hard. Imagine I transitioned to this new job in the middle of the pandemic. So you really need to dig deeper. It's not just about the everydays, but really why are you doing it? Sabi nga sa Nescafe commercial, di ba? Bakit ka gumigising sa umaga? You always have to ask yourself that, and you have to focus on what's the long term, what's there for the long term. So what's the purpose of GCash, and what's your own purpose, and how does it align to your company's purpose? Through the challenges, my purpose is what keeps me going every day. My personal focus is allowing people to realize their full potential, going beyond their limits, especially for the people who matter to me. The same idea is behind investing in the best school for my kids and helping my loved ones get the best opportunities possible. I apply the same to my people at work. This was true even with the categories that I previously managed. And my focus is definitely linked, as I said earlier, to the GCash purpose of making every Filipinos' everyday lives better. But with all of that, I am an advocate of having balance. Again, have fun, recharge, and enjoy life. This helps keep you sane, grounded, and faithful to your core. Especially in this time, crazy time we're in, like the pandemic, it's important that we are mindful of balance. Even though when I started as a new CEO, I had almost 11 meetings daily, I took comfort in getting to spend more time with my family at home. My kids would even go to listen in on my meetings and give comments on what more GCash can do. I remember there was a time when we had to educate people about not sharing MPIN. Kasi parang suddenly scammers were abound and they were fooling people about sharing their MPIN. And I said, because we've been saying it and it's in the login page. So, and my youngest son, Tomas, heard it. You know what he did? Because he plays Fortnite. He sent me a screenshot of how Fortnite tells their players and reminds their players to not share MPIN. So he gave me that, even the artwork of the Fortnite character saying, we will never ask for your MPIN. So it's so cute. And I found myself, parang, it's really important when you integrate work with life. So it's not so much about work-life balance, but I believe in work-life integration. Our families don't have to be separate to our work. It's not like your family doesn't need to know what you're doing. And this is how I cope, really. I share the excitement, even the frustrations, the ups and the downs, so that they can relate to what's going on in my life. I allow myself to be vulnerable, to let people know that I'm also human. Some of you might have heard of this quote from Albert Hubbard. He said, "Do not take life too seriously. You will never get out of it alive." So isn't that so true? As I have shared, we have made some great strides in our pursuit of our vision of finance for all. We all look forward to better days and a brighter future for all families where everyone has access to financial services. So with GCash, that future begins today. Thank you, everyone. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much, ladies. There you go. Time flew so fast. We heard so many remarkable stories of purpose and passion, and it is really inspiring how these wonderful, excellent ladies are living their purpose and pursuing their dreams. Now, I'd like to call on Daniel to lead I suppose, a very short Q&A for any questions that might have been shared with us, and also if he has specific questions in mind. Daniel?
Okay, thanks so much, Marivic, and thanks so much to all our speakers, Christine, Amina, and Martha. Those were excellent stories that you shared with us. You talked and showed us really everything about beauty and brilliance. We don't have a lot of time, but I think I just like to tie everything together. In Christine's abs workout, I think it spans across all the stories that you shared. Everyone talked about affirmation, and Martha just talked about the importance of passion, and Amina was all about passion and dreaming. So definitely, the affirmation and doing something different and believing in yourself and loving yourself spans through all of three of your lives and your stories. And then I love the be your boss, be the boss, be your own boss. Of course, I think being a woman has a special balancing act combined with it inherently. And all of you have shown a wonderful way of doing this. And the S, of course, is the support. We all need our support, but we also give so much support. Martha talked about 40 million GCash users. That's amazing and astounding. You're really turning us into a cashless society. Something that could never be dreamt of even before. I can't imagine paying for fish with the fisherman using GCash. That's just amazing. And then, of course, Amina, really dreaming about becoming globally competitive as a Filipino brand and professionalizing and legitimizing fashion practices and practitioners, and really elevating us, the Filipinos, into this fashion world. And of course, Christine, with your Olympian spirit of championing 5 kids, you really put all of us in the dark and in the dust. And I think all of you were very, very inspiring today. Thank you for your time. Thank you also. I'd like to thank our chairperson, Terry Magleo, for coming up with this whole balancing act talk today. I think it was inspirational. Now, I don't have a lot of questions from the chat box, but what I'd like to do is give you 3 questions that you can choose from. Okay, so you can choose what you're most comfortable with, and then we can start with Christine. Go ahead to Amina, and then with Martha. So 3 questions to choose from. One is, what's your message to aspiring women? So it could be athletes, it could be aspiring to become a mother or a wife, or a career person, or a fashion practitioner, or someone who'd like to help communities. Do you have a specific message for them? Next, second question, if you want to answer this, what is the role of your husband in your life? How does he help to support you? Obviously, none of us can do what we do by ourselves, but you in particular are doing so many things. So what is the role of your husband, or maybe your kids, in your life? And the third question, if you want to answer, this one I'm particularly interested in, is what are your beauty tips that you can share with us? Because all of you are so beautiful. You look like you didn't wake up at 2:45 in the morning, Christine. I can't believe it. Of course, also Amina, you had your biggest spring summer collection. You all look so fresh. And Martha, with your 11 meetings, how do you do it? So Christine, you can start. You can choose your question, and then we'll go along to Amina and Martha. Again, thank you.
Okay, I am the lucky one because I get to choose from the 3. I will choose the easiest one. I'm going to choose about the husband's role because I think, it's really a teamwork when you decide to get married and have 5 kids. And I love the dynamics that my husband and I have. Luckily, we're both athletic, so that has always been, number one in our family, and trying to do things together. We both love the movies, and actually how it's worked out now has worked out well, because he can stay up late, and by 9 o'clock, I'm totally lights out. I am in bed. So he kind of gets the kids to bed. And when I come home at 7:30, it's my turn to rile and get everybody up. But he is really the brains and the heart of the family. I am just the implementer. I'm just trying, to make things work. But it takes two. It always takes two to tango. And actually, he has a more important job than me. He's always the behind the scenes. He's the guy that sets up my whole technical crew here, my Zoom, my laptop, my iPad, and my kids also do the same, because I am so not techie. I am the least techie person in this house. So I'm glad I have a PhD, a doctor in electrical engineering, and they just just do it for me. So I really appreciate his role and his help in gluing the family together.
Fantastic. What a wonderful team. Your husband, I'm sure, is very proud of you. And I wouldn't say his job is more important than yours.
Well, I'll pass it on na lang to him.
Okay, thanks. Now we'll hear from Amina, your choice of what question you'd like to answer.
I'll answer the same question, although I touched on it a bit in my presentation. But yeah, my husband has always been, has always allowed me to help me flourish. He's never held me back from the very, very start. He was always very supportive. Even the type when, especially like now in our work, because he works in the digital world, he completely works from home. So even before the pandemic, he was really also work from home. He could manage to work from home. So right now, I'm the one that I've always been the one that has to keep going out. Like I'd have to go to the factory, go to the school, go to a shoot. So there was always so many things. I was the one moving around a lot. So he managed to, and he's fine with that. He never would complain, never say, don't go out. If I wanted to go see friends, he never said, no, you can't see your friends, stay with me. It's never been that way. So he was really always very supportive and still continues to be very supportive. Also, my children, when you're asking also about the children, same thing like what Martha was saying, they also love getting involved in what I'm doing. And especially my daughter. I have a 12-year-old and she's a little fashionista also. So she, in fact, now because of because she's always glued to me, she launched her own line. She launched a bag line called Señorita Aranas, and it's all little bags for her age. I mean, of course, they don't get to go out, so they don't really have use for it now. But she decided that she wanted to launch it, and so we did. And so she's been busy also with that, getting her feet wet in designing, and even my son, they always like listening to also what's going on. I guess also because Aranas is a family business, it's so. Right now, even incorporating my children into the family, into the business, both Aranas and Sofa, is also natural. I mean, because even at Sofa, my business partner at Sofa, there used to be days that she also has daughters. So when the pre-pandemic, our children would be there. It would be me and my partner, and then our kids will be there, and they'll have their summer class. Sometimes we'll open a special arts and kids. An art kids workshop so that our kids are busy. And
that's fantastic that it's turning out to be a generational gift and legacy from the Aranas brand. You're gonna pass it on to the third generation already, and maybe maybe Soph as well. Thank you so much, Amina. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think we could ever have enough time for such a panel. but now we'd like to ask Martha to choose also her question, and we'd love to hear your answer.
I'll keep it short. It's also number 2. Oo, my husband is my it's my rock and he's my constant. So after all the 11 meetings, all this limelight, I go back to him and he's just chill. He keeps me grounded, and if I need some cheering up, he's there. He has all the ideas in the world, and he's actually the more creative one. So I sometimes tell him, we should switch jobs because you're the more outgoing and more creative guy here. And sometimes he also helps me with my videos if I need to change the soundtrack or if I need to edit it. He has it, and he also plans our camping. So sometimes we go out, like, because he loves nature, so he wants to bring us out always, and like one of our like vacant lots in some out of town, we'll just set up camp there and then we'll stargazing. So those stuff that you easily forget when you're so absorbed at work. He does that, and he gives balance to the family, and it's so much fun as well.
That's great. That's great to hear. Your husbands are undoubtedly so blessed to have you. But Larry Concepcion also said here that behind every successful woman must be a supporting man or family.
I'd like to add also, just to make sure that it's not always roses, right? I mean, that's always the joy. There's always struggles, maybe misunderstandings. But I guess that's part of motherhood and marriage, and in any business, it's always going through the rough spots together, and that's right. What makes it stronger.
Great, thank you. I think it's really a team effort, and it's a give and take with every relationship. And again, we thank you, Christine, Amina, Martha. It's been such a wonderful session. And right now, we'd like to call the man of FINEX, our president, Attorney Francis Lim, to give his closing remarks.
Thank you, Daniel. Good afternoon again, fellow FINEX members and guests. Okay, given the pandemic situation, we continue to overcome the challenges we face every day, especially the mothers during this pandemic. I myself am a married man, and my wife find it challenging for me to be at home, because she's not used to me being at home. I've always been out doing my lawyer job in the office and elsewhere. Indeed, as our speakers have shown, managing a business while taking care of our home and loved ones and pursuing one's personal advocacy is not an easy task, especially for a woman. Our speakers, Amina, Christine, and Martha, thank you very much for sharing how you have handled this kind of situation. The challenges at work, at home, the parenting, and the wifely duties, and pursuing your passion and advocacy at the same time. As I said, that is not an easy task. And you have so successfully integrated all of this. And I think the insights that you have shared with us this afternoon are not only invaluable to the women audience, but to us men as well. In fact, as I said, I was just supposed to do the closing remarks, but I decided to stay on because I thought that I would learn some key takeaways from you. And truly, I've done. I've really learned. For us men, I noticed I went over the participants list, and there are a lot of men attending. And I think they attended for the same reason that I attended. If there's one thing that women can learn from these insights from Amina, Christian, and Martha, is that we should be the rock, or at the very least, be supportive of our wives. And speaking as a lawyer, partnership is the essence of marriage. No? That is so provided by our law. Thank you for demonstrating that all these things, difficult though they may be, can successfully be done. I think if there's a will, there's a way, and that holds true not only to the women but for us men. Christine, Paco and I were directors, and I still am a director of Union Bank, and I personally know him to be a very intelligent and supportive partner, even as a director. So give my regards to him, Christine. I'm going personal this time. I would like to thank Daniel for moderating a very interesting discussion. Just apologize, Daniel, because you didn't have much time to moderate and to ask questions. And I'm sure that you could have done, could have aired a lot of questions here, not for the time constraints. Congratulations again to our very active Women in Finance Committee led by its chair, Terry, and the liaison director, Tiffy, and the staff led by Mike Pinuan for yet another successful webinar. Thank you all to our participants. We hope to see you in our future webinars and upcoming FINEX event. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Francis, President Francis. And as mentioned earlier, this has been a very interesting discussion. Jokingly, we said earlier that there should be a part 2. Seems like we really need one. Maybe we should feature the men, the supporting husband behind the successful women. They have, I'm sure, interesting stories to tell. And
we should do that. We should do that.
We will invite Martha, Amina, and Christine.
Hold on.
So they can listen to their husbands too.
The truth will finally come out.
Yeah. Indeed. And Daniel, I love your questions. There were Miss Universe questions. Only selected one. They have to give thanks to their husband. We all do have to do that. So thank you, everyone. I wish you well and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay
Take
safe.
care.
Stay
Stay
safe.
safe.